Cannabis news for the day. Saliva tests come under fire. Written by Piper Courtney, and this is in Canada. Changes to impaired driving laws in preparation for cannabis legalization are not only proving flawed, but are threatening the Charter of Rights for all drivers on the road, even those who have never consumed pot. This is awful for Canadians, okay? It's just not right. Since amendments to Bill C-46 passed last month, adding more cannabis-specific laws to the Impaired Driving Act, Canadian drivers have mainly focused on what tools police will use to detect drug intoxication. On August 6, the Justice Department announced that it plans to introduce a roadside saliva test to detect cannabis-impaired driving. With a few swipes of an oral fluid collection tip over a driver's cheeks and tongue, police officers will be able to instantly identify traces of THC ingested within the previous 6 hours. So apparently it's flawed because it's harder than that. It's to do this test apparently. Let's go on. Last month, Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould announced a 30-day notice of a ministerial order to approve the German-made drug test 5000, a portable substance detection device that looks like a small coffee machine. Let's go down further. Drivers could then face a criminal conviction if found with as little as 2 nanograms of THC in their system, according to the newly set limits. Sarah Lehman, a Vancouver lawyer specializing in cannabis law, said these devices are on par with a flawed approach to cannabis legalization. It is a big problem to treat cannabis impairment the same way under the criminal law that we treat alcohol impairment. The bottom line is that all of these devices don't have any reflection on the level of impairment at all when it comes to the subject of the test. Okay, under the criminal code, 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood, or 0.08%, is considered legal intoxication. Lehman said that barring a few variables like weight, this is accurate for most alcohol consumers, but the same approach cannot be applied when it comes to cannabinoids. Okay, so it's harder to test for cannabinoids. Let's read further. THC is stored in fat cells long after the effects have worn off. It is not metabolized through the body in a consistent rate, and there is really no formula for us to determine how it moves through every human body. So a lot of people might end up getting charged and they didn't even smoke marijuana. That's what it says, because the marijuana is going to stay in your system for quite a bit longer than, say, alcohol. Okay, so depending on factors like a strain's cannabinoid concentration and consumption method, impairment levels vary drastically from person to person. Cannabinoids can be detectable in frequent consumers, including those who rely on cannabis to treat medical conditions weeks after their last use. So it doesn't leave your body right away. Lehman said drivers also need to be aware of amendments that effectively change the way alcohol will be policed at the roadside. Okay, that's alcohol. So we're gonna stick with this. With the cannabis. With drug saliva tests, however, the officer must have a reasonable suspicion before proceeding. Lehman said she expects this to be one of many constitutional challenges come October, including those stemming from a lack of information linking cannabis to impairment, an area to which Ottawa has allocated $1 million for future research. So it needs to be researched a lot better. Despite the recent changes, Lehman said she believes that enforcing criminal penalties is not necessarily the most effective way to create safe driving practices. Instead of passing all these laws that are potentially flawed and contrary to the charter, what they should do should be doing is investing in a strong public education campaign. People need to understand how to properly use cannabis in a responsible and safe manner in relation to their motor vehicles. So that's your cannabis news for the day. And that's, like I said, this is coming out of Canada where cannabis is going to be legalized. So I want everybody to have a fantastic day.